Can you believe that there was a time when you couldn't just check out your doctor's availability online and you actually had to call in? But now there's ZocDoc. ZocDoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. Go to ZocDoc.com/Elyse and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/Elyse, spelled ELYSE. ZocDoc.com/Elyse. Hey, Prime members, did you know that you could be listening to this episode and every episode of Funny 'Cause It's True ad-free on Amazon Music? That's right. Prime members get access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts. To listen, download the Amazon Music app or visit amazon.com/FCIT. With Amazon Music, you get access to the most ad-free top podcasts. Avoid the ads and listen to your favorite podcasts ad-free with the Amazon Music app or by visiting amazon.com/FCIT. That's amazon.com/FCIT.
Lemonada.
Okay, actually, can you just pretend that you're listening to a fully complete theme song here? I got really in my head, and I tried to make it perfect, and I couldn't. So this is going to be the theme song right here. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Funny 'Cause It's True. I'm Elyse Myers. Songwriting is something that I haven't really talked a lot about on this show so far, but for those that don't know, it's a really big part of my life, and I was so excited to get to share some of it with today's guest, Jason Mraz, because he's a very famous singer and songwriter. And on top of that, he is a really delightful human being to talk to. He shared so much about his process of songwriting and collaborating and how the two came together for his newest album, Magical Rhythmical Radical Ride. So two things that are funny because they're true. Number one, I waited the entire conversation to tell Jason Mraz a funny story about seeing him in concert, and I couldn't really find my opportunity given the nature of the story, so I kind of just threw it in as he was hanging up, and I hoped for the best. And number two, Jason talks about the first song that he ever wrote, which is very similar to the first song that I ever wrote, and they're both about our middle school crushes. And you actually are going to hear both of them in this conversation. All right, let's get into it. Jason.
Hi, Elyse Myers.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm awesome. How are you? I like your studio. I like your little workroom.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ideas on the wall.
Yeah. I had someone come and film in this. This is my actual working office. And I multiple times had to be like, please just don't film the whiteboard because I don't think about what I'm writing when I write down, and I don't think anyone's really going to read it. So yeah. I was like, just cut all that footage out, please.
Yeah.
And then is this your studio here?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I have a whiteboard as well. You can't see it in this angle, but yeah, this is a little place I built in my backyard back in 2006.
That's my dream. Man, I rent I used to rent a townhouse as my office. Honestly, to have a special place dedicated to your creativity where nobody can hear you, it opened up so much for me, and it was a really cool experience. And so I love that you have this at home.
Yeah, me too. I kind of figured this out through my whole journey. It was anytime I got a chance to visit anybody's house, especially if it was a songwriter, I was like, how do you live? What do you eat? Are you barefoot all the time? I want to know, where do you record? Where do you write? And then in 2004, I visited Bob Marley's house in Kingston, Jamaica. It's now a museum. The intention was he and the band could live there and they could record in the backyard, and they had little gardens where they could kick the football around, or they could grow some herbs and food and veggies and stuff like that. And to me, that's when it all clicked. I was like, that's what I want. Yeah. And that became where I live now. It's kind of modeled after Bob Marley's house.
I think that the more I am in full-time creativity as my job, I realize the spaces you have to work in, not just the workplaces are important to kind of structure and to grow out and build, but like places that you have that you don't do work. You need to like keep that a balance of like, where can you go away when the ideas aren't there? Where can you rest, like mentally and physically, so that when you go back to the actual work, you are as best as you possibly can be. And I really neglected that for a lot of my time, like as a creative, and learning that like the rest is just as important as the work is like, it changed the game for me specifically. Did you find that for you when you created this standalone space?
Yeah. When I look back 20 plus years ago and I was in an apartment and my recording space was in the corner of my bedroom, that also was great because that corner was that space.
When I was in college, I lived with 5 other people, and I cannot tell you how many times I got photos sent to me from my roommates of me just like hunched over my laptop with my guitar and my mic and my mixer and my keyboard. It's a very precious time of my life.
But I think when you're really in the art, you will make it work, you know?
Totally.
When the art is such a nagging presence in your heart, in your mind, you'll make it work even if you're living out of your car, you know?
Yeah.
Like the thing I love the most about having this space that I didn't have when I was in my apartment was no one's on the other side of this wall.
Yeah.
And so I can be loud.
Yeah.
And sometimes to write a song, you gotta be loud. I can't necessarily write in silence. I need to sing the song that I'm writing. Mm-hmm. And that's the best.
It's a huge deal. I know that when you were like 22, you went on like a really long road trip, right? You like packed up into a van and you were like, gone. How long were you on that road trip for? And is that kind of when you started writing music?
No, I probably started writing music in 8th grade. I just loved to invent a song. And in fact, the first song I ever wrote, it was probably like, I saw this beautiful girl, she was walking my way. And I wrote it and I recorded it over a instrumental on a B-side of a CNC Music Factory single.
Oh, Jason. My first song was, what do you do when you meet a cute boy? Do you say hi? Do you say bye? What do you do when you meet a cute boy? Do you wear a frown? Do you be a clown? It was a masterpiece, honestly.
So this is a dance group out of the 90s. And I recorded my song over their instrumental by using multiple tape decks and singing basically karaoke'd my own song onto this track. And then I took it to my roller rink and they played it on the Friday night, right? They just put it in the mix and it sounded great because it was already a dance hit, but it had a new vocal on it. Nobody noticed, but I noticed and I felt that thing of like hearing my song. And that's when it clicked for me. I was in 8th grade. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to figure out how to make songs. I want to figure out how to sing my own songs. And I would go on a very long journey after that through chorus and musical theater. And when I was 21, I packed up from Virginia and moved to California. And that alone was a thing that needed to happen. And I'm so glad it did, but it was so scary.
Okay, time for a break. When we come back, Jason tells us about his process for choosing which songs go into an album and which stay behind. If you know me, you know that I like to do my research, whether it's what movie I want to see or what restaurant to go to, or most importantly, which doctor I'm going to trust with my health. So it's really important to me to know going in what I'm going to get and how they can help. ZocDoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. ZocDoc also has one other key advantage. It lets you see patient reviews and review your doctors yourself. That means that you can see what other people loved about your potential new pick. No more second guessing, no more walking in and hoping for the best, just a doctor you trust and hopefully a quick fix to whatever is bothering you. Go to ZocDoc.com/Elyse and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/Elyse, spelled ELYSE. ZocDoc.com/Elyse. Guys, if you haven't tried Vuori yet, there is a reason why they are blowing up right now. Their clothing is just straight up quality. Not only does Vuori have high quality joggers and athletic wear, they also have super versatile coats and jackets. I have their Sherpa hooded trench, and it really comes in handy when it snows a bunch here in Omaha. I love when clothes are super cute and super functional. Plus, Fiore is 100% offsetting their carbon footprint. They're also reducing and offsetting 100% of their plastic footprint from 2019 and beyond. For our listeners, they're offering 20% off your first purchase. Fiore is super comfortable and super versatile. Try their pieces out for yourself at viore.com/Elyse. That's VUORI.com/Elyse, spelled ELYSE. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to viore.com/Elyse and discover the versatility of Viore clothing. Did you just go to California for opportunity, or why did that move happen?
I had lived my whole life in Mechanicsville, Virginia. I'd seen it. I'd met all the people I could possibly meet. But I'd been reading books, and they all involved characters from the West, and they all involved, being on the road. It's like something about the West is calling me.
Yeah.
So I packed up and I went out to California knowing that, look, I may not stay. I'm just going for the adventure. I'll come back to Mechanicsville and I'll write about all of my experiences.
Yeah.
But luckily, I met people right away who introduced me to more people, And I just, within a matter of weeks, got swept up by some very lovely friends and fans and ended up in San Diego. And I've been here ever since.
Oh my gosh. When you got to California, it was all new to you. And how did you get started performing so quickly?
Well, I didn't know anybody, and that made it so easy. I was the new guy, and nobody knew any of my tricks. Nobody knew any of my songs. So I felt like I had everything to share. Whereas if I'm performing back in Virginia, I know everybody in the audience. They're all cousins and high school friends and parents and siblings and stuff, and I don't want to perform for them. In fact, I heard you talk about that with Mike Birbiglia. It's like,
Jason Mraz is a fan of the show. What is happening?
You don't want to invite your friends to the show. You don't want to invite your parents to tune in because it's so very personal. Mm-hmm. And being in California, I didn't know anybody, and I could be very personal. And that gave me, I think, an advantage because people in the audience were like, who the heck is this guy doing and saying all these things? And I feel like that gave me an advantage. And because I knew no one and because I had nothing, I was hungry, and I could just go up and show up at every open mic, every gig, every songwriter night, find coffee shops that didn't have entertainment and ask them if I could be their entertainment, and basically worked from the bottom up. And when you're on the bottom, everything is an opportunity. And so it was actually quite easy.
Did you ever have a point where when you were performing where you felt like maybe this wasn't the right move, or has it always felt right to you?
I am still filled with doubt, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my optimism and positivity in my music comes from this other side of me that's like, man, you should give this up. You have no idea what you're doing.
That was not a fart, by the way. That was my elbow on my desk. Well, okay. You definitely can't hear the squeak of my elbow listening back to the audio, and I definitely didn't need to make a disclaimer that wasn't a fart. So now, if anything, it sounds like it was a fart because I felt like I had to explain that it wasn't. So that's just how it goes.
I didn't notice.
I keep going? Sorry, okay, your positivity, yes.
Yeah, my music, or I feel like sometimes I'm pigeonholed as like this really positive guy, or my music is optimistic. And that's because I'm constantly thinking about quitting. I'm constantly thinking about, I need to try something else. I've used all my gimmicks. I've used all my tricks. I've said all I could possibly say. If I keep going, people are going to discover that I don't know what I'm doing. I still can't read music. So there's these certain challenges that are always recurring.
Wait, you do everything by ear?
Yeah. And I do, but I know how to I know where A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I know where those things are. But if you put down sheet music,
you wouldn't sight read it.
it would take me all day to
Yeah.
like, every good boy does fine. Oh, okay, what? FACE? Like I'm still at that level in music theory.
That is wild because you're so talented.
Hey, thanks. I think a lot of it is though, because I play my own songs. You know, if I were to cover someone else's songs, I think you would then be able to measure my talent because like, oh, I can compare it to the original song versus how he's covering it. But if I'm doing my own songs, there's nothing else to compare it to. But at its core, you know, I can read really basic guitar tab and I same on piano, just basic chord tab.
I can't tell you how much I relate to that because the way I got into writing music and then recording it myself was because I was too afraid to tell anyone at this music school I was like attending that I didn't know what I was doing because I do everything by ear. I played viola when I was a child from like grade school all the way through. I still play viola. So I can read alto clef. That has nothing to do with like guitar and piano. So that doesn't translate at all except for the ear, like it trained me in. So when I was in college, I had to chart, write, and record EPs for like our that we didn't have tests. That was like our test. Every semester put it out. And I was like, well, I can't ask anyone for help because they'll know I don't know what I'm doing. So I'll just do it myself. And that ended up creating all of these skills that when people hear it, they think like, you must know exactly what you're doing. And you're like, no, I just have the patience and the frustration and the pride to like sit here long enough to figure it out to where it sounds like something you might want to listen to. And so just hearing that is like really encouraging to me because it's like, okay, there is more than one way to do it. And I'm not cheating and it's not like I don't know what I'm doing. It's just a different way to do it. And it's really cool. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, you're putting feeling first. And that's the best. I think if we put technical first, then it's harder to weave our feeling into it.
Do you listen back to the stuff that you made like early in your career and make you feel good that you're like, man, I've grown so much? Or is it like, I've always been perfect?
No, yeah. It's a little of everything. Sometimes I listen back and I'm thrilled. I'm like, wow, I never would think to do that today, but look what I was doing then. Totally forgot that I used to do that. But yeah, sometimes if I cringe, it's lyrically.
In 2011, I went through a really big Lady Gaga phase, and I accidentally ended up rewriting word for word Love Game by Lady Gaga. And then I was so excited about this new song I wrote that I took it to my friends, and I was like, listen to this banger I just wrote. And they're like, that is so good. Also, that's Love Game by Lady Gaga. So I understand.
Like, okay, well, I was, late teens, early 20s. So yeah, that was my attitude then. But your awareness changes as you get older. Your just mindfulness evolves or expands. And so some songs I just can't even sing anymore because a different ego wrote those songs.
Wow.
But that's okay.
You said that you're known for your positivity. Do you ever feel like you can write music that expresses exactly how you feel? Or do you feel pressure to write music that is mostly happy?
Well, in order for me to write an album of, say, 10 songs, I have to write 100 songs.
Of course.
And the 10 that make it on the album are going to be the ones that I succeeded in some kind of personal transformation from darkness back into light. And so those happy songs, they actually work. They worked for me. And that's how they end up on the record. And I will write dozens of down-tempo, sad songs that get me through the week, but I don't think they're going to get me through the year. I don't think they're going to help the album get through a tour. So as much as I might fall in love with a song that truly reflects maybe my anger or disappointment or my sadness, whatever I might be processing, it's hard to then take those themes to the stage, or it's hard to then recreate those themes in the studio just because they are so heavy. And they served a purpose for me at a time, but the thing that really makes it to the stage is where I have triumph over that darkness, or it's the next song that I wrote after that. You know what I mean?
So do you feel like the goal is the light then? And that's what you share with people?
For me, it is, because it makes the stage time so much more enjoyable. Because when you hit the stage, or even if someone's listening to your album, they're giving you their greatest wealth, which is their time and attention. So now that I've got someone's 45 minutes of time, or if they come to a show, I've got maybe 2 hours of their time, how can I best use that time? If I've got a downer song, I've got to ask 2,000 people to come with me on a time when I fell, and come with me on a time when I was ungrateful. And here's a song that I wrote that I wrote on a bad day, and it's really hard to do that. I may have done it early in my career, and I'd watch people go to the bathroom. It's like, that isn't it. That's not how I want to spend these 2 hours. Like, to me, an album or a concert is like a yoga class. It's like, you want people to come in and feel different when they left, feeling like, oh my gosh, I have dreams that I want to pursue. I have magic in me that I want to share. That's the feeling I've always wanted to leave people with. So
I think that like sharing the down and the dark moments, it's a fine line, right? It's like, you don't want to be a bleeding wound on to everybody around you that are giving you their time. But also I find personally that when there are those songs that really relate to you when you aren't feeling great, like, it gives you words to emotions that maybe you haven't been able to put words to. So there have been so many songs where it's like, if I listen to it in a happy time, I'm like, yeah, holy shit, that's really sad. I don't want to listen to that right now. But when you are in that place, when you hear it expressed through somebody else, you're like, number one, I am not the only person that feels this way. That's amazing. Number two, like, maybe I can just latch onto this idea in this song and it can help me process things to get to that light. But it's such a hard balance to find. And I think that people that can do it well, that's what makes them really successful in letting people heal through their creativity. And I think you do that very, very well. And it's just proof that, like, with some artists, like, you do have to share more of the darkness. And with some artists, like, it's more of the light that you show on stage, and both get to the same place. And so I think that you have balanced that very, very well. Time for another break. When we come back, we hear about how important collaboration is for Jason. I feel like we're always having to learn new tips and tricks for managing our mental health, right? Maybe it's because the world keeps on throwing new things at us day after day. It makes sense. We need to adapt and find new ways to cope with anxiety, depression, and more. Hers offers access to mental health care that can support you in your day-to-day, including dealing with anxiety and depression. At forhers.com, you can get access to real medical providers who can prescribe trusted mental health medication if it's right for you. The process is 100% online, including free unlimited check-ins, provider messaging, and support along the way. Plus, to make things even simpler, you can get your first month of treatment for just $25 if prescribed. To get started, go to forhers.com/Elyse. That's forhers.com/ELYSE. I really love that you don't need insurance to use Hers. It's all a part of their mission to make finding support as simple and painless as possible. Get started today at forhers.com/Elyse. That's forhers.com/ELYSE. Offer only available if prescribed. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. So my house goes through a lot of eggs. You know, when your kid decides that they will eat reliably like one thing and that one thing only? Right now, that's eggs. But that's why I'm so glad that my brother introduced me to Happy Egg. I love these eggs, you guys. They are the closest thing that you can get to having farm fresh eggs other than like actually having chickens in your backyard. And yes, the price of eggs have been a little unpredictable, but Happy Egg actually was able to avoid raising their prices because of the standards that they already had in place to protect their chickens. Happy Egg chooses what's right over what's easy, partnering with small family farmers to raise their hens on over 8 acres of land. The care that Happy Egg provides their birds, coupled with their nutritious feed, results in next-level richness and flavor in the eggs. You can see the difference also in their beautiful orange yolks, and you can definitely taste it too. It makes me feel so much better making eggs for my son and my family, for the third time in any given day. Visit happyegg.com/Elyse to find a store near you. That's happyegg.com/Elyse, ELYSE. I'm curious what the difference is for you between like writing collaboratively with people versus writing alone. Does that process look differently for you?
Yeah. I mean, the thing I love about collaborating with others is it's almost like you've got a spell checker or an autocorrector. You've got an editor in the room with you, which is really exciting. You've got musical midwives in the room with you, because if you're working on a verse and you're looping some chords to get the verse, you might spend an hour singing verses. Let's try this verse over and over and over and over. And you just have to feel okay with the person that you're collaborating with, for them to sit there and stare at you and go, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. No. And just keep singing verses until that person, who's now your audience, goes, yes, that's it. Sing that again. You want to find those people that you can collaborate with, that you can do that. And in the case of Raining Janes, these 4 fabulous artists that I've worked with since 2007, they are that. Some are lean more towards the music, and some lean more towards the lyric. Some are already working on harmonic background vocals, and some are already working on a bridge section. And I'm always trying to be some kind of director and weave it all together. And how can I, as the singer, then take this idea and that idea and this idea and take the best of all 5 of us, best of our ideas, and turn it into something. The thing I also love about it is, where I said earlier, I'm always have a lot of doubt. Am I doing this right? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just inventing this. When there's 4 other humans in the room that are in agreement, then I don't really have the doubt. What I now have is extra confidence that I can then shine back to my collaborators so that they can shine even brighter.
Personally, I never feel less confident than when I am in the presence of others. I am so good at lying to myself when I'm alone.
Ever since then, 2007, we would get together once or twice a year for Ladies' Weekend, sit in a circle, and we'd write songs. In 2012, we hit a streak where everything we were writing was potent, and so we turned that into an album called Yes. We put that out in 2014. One of my favorite albums we ever made. And so after that, we thought, we're never going to stop doing this. We're going to do this till we're old and wrinkly. But it'd be nice to make another album someday, maybe something less acoustic, a little more dance. And that's where we've arrived at right now in 2023 with this new album that's about to come out. It's another album that I wrote in tandem with Raining Jane, recorded in the studio with them. And we're pushing ourselves to go a little more pop disco with it.
Is this the mystical, magical, is it
whimsical, wackical,
I
ridiculous ride?
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. The mythical, majestical, dramatical, comedical, less tragical.
Was this did you take this on with a different sound to challenge yourself?
Yes.
Or was it something you've always wanted to do?
Yeah, always challenging myself. Because at the core, I can write a song on a guitar or piano, and by itself, it needs to be great, right?
Yeah.
But the challenge is, we're let's dress this up. How can we dress this up in a way we've never done it before? I did a reggae album just prior to this, because I've always wanted to dress up songs in a reggae style and fashion. And so I did the entire album in reggae. But this time, we wanted to go more pop, more disco, more dance, not necessarily electronic, but we wanted to dance. And that came from both seeing our audience want to dance, and it came from my mom's request of us making a pop album before it's too late, before we're too old for people to want to dance to our music.
Wait, so your mom was like, you have to do this until you can't do it.
Yeah, she literally said that. She said, I think y'all need to make a pop album before it's too late. You're not getting any younger.
Mom!
You're not going to look any better than you do now.
Do you feel like, and this is genuinely a question, do you feel any amount of imposter syndrome, in your 40s making a pop album? Does that feel radical to you, or you're like, no, this is right?
There were a few moments in the writing and in the demo process where, the imposter syndrome would make an appearance and I'd say to myself, this isn't working. But that may have been because my production techniques weren't getting the song where they could be.
Yeah.
But, through a lot of work and a lot of demos, we eventually got, we were starting to see the possibility that we could pull this off. We decided to record in New York City, where we could be encouraged by the beat of the city, by the energy of New York. And reunited with producer Martin Terefe, who I made We Sing, We Dance, We Steal Things with 15 years ago. He would be in the room with us also, pushing us to try new things and try tempos that we weren't trying, to simplify certain grooves. Luckily, his expertise is really what helped us get it over that line where we were no longer imposters, but we really believed it.
What did that feel like when you were like, I went from feeling that way to like, this is right? What did that transformation in you feel like?
It feels like, okay, now we can go get some ice cream.
Okay. That's really relieving.
Yeah, I'll have some version of self-punishment until I get something right. Like, it's usually ice cream. It's like, look, I'm not going to go have ice cream until I get this right. Because ice cream is going to make me feel a certain way, and it's usually going to make me feel like taking a nap.
Interesting.
And I'm not ready to do that. I'm ready to keep working until like I'm hungry, until I'm just hungry, until I feel thinned by the experience because I've worked so hard at it. So yeah, we had a lot of ice cream in New York. It was every day felt so good because all of our demoing and all of our touring and all of our rewrites and everything we had done up to that point was the work. So that by the time we got to New York, it was just clicking. It was all working.
I feel like it's so beautiful that you feel that at this point in your career, you're still starting something new. And the fact that you are doing this like pop, like album that you're like dancing and like, it's so inspiring. It's so inspiring.
I mean, I dabble in dance, but I don't just like music theory. I don't know what I'm doing in dance.
Sure. It feels good.
It feels great. And when I dance, I love to dance in a way I've never danced before. So I'm thrilled. And I'm wondering if this is probably going to contribute to some future life where I'm on Broadway dancing or some future life where I'm in a movie dancing. I don't know what it is, but I know that I've needed dance in my life, and it's been an area that I've not focused on. And so having this dance album and these dance theme songs is no accident. It's my subconscious screaming at me from within saying, kid, you're a dancer. Get up. Like, you don't need to hide behind the guitar. You don't need to hide behind your jokes. You can move your body. It's okay. So my music has always been the medicine that I've needed. And surprisingly, it's dance right now. And I'm loving it.
Wow.
I'm loving it.
I was going to tell you when you came, and I didn't know when to say this because it felt weird, but when you came on tour in, I think it was 2018, you were in Omaha. And you were performing on the stage, and I went to your concert, and every photo I have, the two billboards like next to the stage haven't gotten changed in like 10 years, and they are erectile dysfunction posters.
On both sides of the stage?
Both sides. And every single picture I have of that concert is you between these two billboards. And it's always made me laugh. And so I wanted to find some way to share that with you. But I was like, there's no way to like casually bring that up and have it make any sense.
I love that. Hopefully that's that way for every concert at that venue.
It is.
Right?
It is. It's that venue has never, it's like an outdoor amphitheater in a casino. And, it's never changed. And I went to a concert a few years ago that I ended up performing with my friend Ben Rector on stage. And my husband was laughing because he was like, same photos you got of Jason Mraz. Now you're in those photos.
Wow.
There were so many ways I imagined ending this conversation, and telling that story was none of them. Anyways, that's a little tidbit of information as we close here, but Jason, thank you seriously so much for just giving me your afternoon and your morning and time. And it was so good to meet you. You are just a big inspiration to me. And this feels like a dream.
Thanks, Elyse. And likewise, I love what you're doing. I love
Thank you.
how you've changed the game. It's really great.
You.
Refreshing.
Thank you so much. All right, that's it for my conversation with Jason Mraz. Make sure you keep an eye out for his new album, Mystical, Magical, Rhythmical, Radical Ride, which is out June 23rd, 2023. If you like this show, give us a rating and a review. It helps people find us. Okay, be back next week. Bye. There's more Funny 'Cause It's True with Lemonada Premium. Get access to all of Lemonada's premium content, including My 5 Questions with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, which came out last Friday. Subscribe now in Apple Podcasts. Funny 'Cause It's True is a Lemonada Media and Powder Keg production. The show is produced by Claire Jones, Zoe Dennis, and Linnea Tony. Our associate producer is Tiffany Bowie. Rachel Neal is our senior director of new content, and our VP of weekly production is Steve Nelson. Executive producers are Stephanie Whittles-Wax, Jessica Cordova-Kramer, Paul Feig, Laura Fisher, Kesla Childers, and me, Elyse Myers. This show is mixed by Johnny Vince Evans, additional help from Noah Smith and Ivan Krayev. Our theme song music was written by me and scored by Xander Singh. Follow Funny 'Cause It's True wherever you get your podcasts, or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.
If you love Lemonada content, a quick, easy, and free way to help us keep our shows running is to fill out our anonymous listener survey. By just answering a few questions, you can help us find new brands to connect with and also share feedback about show content you'd like to see across the network. And even better, once you've completed the survey, you can enter for a chance to win a $100 Visa gift card. The survey is short and sweet and will help us play ads you don't want to skip and also keep bringing you content you love. Just go to lemonadamedia.com/survey.
Last Day from Lemonada Media explores the moments that change us. Those times where you look back and say, whoa, one day I was myself and the next I wasn't. I'm Stephanie Whittles-Wax, and I have seen time and time again how sharing these stories can change lives. So, do you have a moment in your life that changed you, fundamentally and forever? What happened? How did you move through it? And how did you eventually start again? If you'd like to share your story, go to bit.ly/lastdaystories, bit.ly/lastdaystories. We can't wait to hear from you. 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 We can't wait.